Thanks so much for joining us here on ABC 24 Weather Impact Now. I'm Chief Meteorologist Trevor Birchett. We'll check in with meteorologist Daniel McDonald for a check of your regional forecast coming up. Meteorologist Kit Thomas has the day off, but thank you for checking in with us. This is our all-news show. We've been doing this about 2 weeks now. All weather, all the time at 6:30. We know how important weather is to folks in the Mid-South, and we also know how interested people are in the weather. Sometimes a little more interesting than what we can fit into the 2-minute weathercast. So we took over the 6:30 time slot to give you all the weather you could need and help you prepare for the impacts that the weather brings in the Mid-South. And we have a lot of impact to talk about as we roll through this weekend. As a matter of fact, we have a weather impact alert for you. And this is going to be Sunday evening into Sunday night. So most of the weekend looks fantastic. I'm going to try to enjoy some of it before the storms come in. I hope you will too. But things look very nice through most of the weekend. Storms are going to come in Sunday evening. I think this all starts by about 7 p.m. and then we'll see storms roll through the Mid-South before they exit by about midnight. My main concern with this batch of storms is going to be damaging wind gusts. And I know that's been a threat for us the last few storm systems we've had, but with this one, we've got a little extra wind energy to talk about, and that could actually enhance the risk of damaging wind gusts. So we're thinking 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts as that line pushes through. Tornado risk is low. We can't completely rule it out. Like we've seen the last few weeks, those lines of storms that roll through, they can sometimes produce quick spin-up tornadoes. But I think for most of us, the biggest concern on Sunday into Sunday night is going to be the damaging wind gust threat. So anything outside that can blow around, you might want to secure it or bring it inside. And of course, keep an eye on the forecast for the next few days because these things can change with timing and intensity since we are still about 3 days away. In general, though, the weekend looks great. Tomorrow looks fantastic. Saturday, 74 degrees with sunshine. A little chilly in the morning, but Saturday afternoon looks great. High of 74. Most of Sunday, I think, is going to be okay. Mostly dry through the day, but it is going to be warm, breezy, a little humid. You'll definitely be able to tell that storms are coming, but most of the day Sunday is going to be dry. Winds are going to kick up though, and then that line of storms arrives once we get closer to, say 7 or 8 p.m. So even though it's going to be dry on Sunday, you are going to have an impact through the day. Wind gusts on Sunday could actually reach 40 miles an hour before the storms even get there. So I know during the day Sunday will be dry, but it's also going to be very windy. Gusts could be up to 40 miles an hour in the afternoon. And that's thanks a lot in part due to what we would call the low-level jet. So what I'm going to do now is take you off the ground and we're going to look up in the air a little bit. So the map that we're looking at here is the wind speeds about 4,500 feet above our heads. What you'll notice through the day Sunday is we get that increasing in low-level to mid-level winds, especially where you're seeing some of those reds and deep purple showing up. We have a very fast low-level jet stream. And again, this is about 4,500 to 5,000 feet above the surface. We have 70 to 80 mile an hour winds just above our head. What can happen is when thunderstorms come through, they can almost pick up that wind and drive it down to the surface. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get 70 to 80 mile an hour winds, but the fact that they're that strong just above our heads does indicate that the storms as they come through could pick some of those winds up and shove them down to the surface. So that's why the risk is a little higher this time. We're up to a level 3 out of 5 risk. So that's kind of a medium risk. The last couple of weeks, we've been in a level 2 when we've had severe storms. So this is one notch higher, but it's mainly enhanced due to that wind threat, the very fast low-level jet and the threat for some damaging wind gusts. So with that in mind, let's time it out. Again, most of Sunday's dry. Here's noon on Sunday looking great. But as we get closer to sunset, about 6 or 7 p.m., you'll notice that storms start to fire up back in Arkansas. Still dry in Memphis at 6 p.m. Sunday, but you can see that line of storms starting to develop in Arkansas. By about 7 or 8 p.m., we start to see it kind of line up along the river. And I think 8 o'clock, at least off of this model, other models are in pretty close agreement, 8 or 9 p.m., that line of storms crosses the river. And you can see just how intense that line is going to be. And that's very indicative of the potential of high wind gusts. So 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock into Memphis, DeSoto County, right along the river, and then continuing into North Mississippi, a little closer to 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock, maybe into Corinth, and then moving out pretty quickly. When you get that fast low-level jet and very fast wind speeds, these storms are going to be barreling across the Mid-South. But again, that also increases the threat of high wind gusts. So by midnight, these storms are out of here. But again, as they roll through between about 7 p.m. and midnight Sunday, they could pack a punch. Here's a look at what we're thinking. I have increased our wind threat to high. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts certainly likely. We could see some storms that gust as high as 70 miles an hour, and that can do damage. Notice our tornado threat is low. I can't rule out a quick little spin up along that line, but typically with the lines of storms, we're more inclined to see a high wind threat. So while the tornado threat is low, we can't rule it out. I think most of us are just going to see the high winds, but they can do damage as well. It does not take a tornado to cause damage. We've had high wind gusts really tear some stuff up, and there was no tornado involved. So just because the tornado threat is low doesn't mean we couldn't see damaging wind gusts. Hail threat also low, but we could also see some heavy rain, maybe a little flooding on the roadways as those storms pass through. So there comes the cold front. That's kind of what's sparking up this line of storms. But what's interesting is this is an Arctic air mass that's coming in behind this, almost a wintertime air mass. And as that comes in, we are going to get very, very cold Monday morning and Monday afternoon. Notice what's interesting here off to our north. Yeah, some snowflakes. Southern Missouri, southern Illinois could see a quick changeover to snow as the system clears out. I don't think that's going to be a thing down here. Would I be surprised to see a flurry? No, not really. We could easily see a flake or two Monday morning as that precipitation exits and the cold air comes in. It's not going to be anything serious, certainly nothing that's going to stick, but you might see a flurry or two early Monday morning if you look carefully. Certainly cold enough up in the atmosphere. Look at these temperatures. 70s Saturday and Sunday. Average high is 63. So we're going to be above average this weekend. And then we get to the 40s Monday and Tuesday. High of 41 on Monday. That means most of the days in the 30s, and then a high of 46 Tuesday before temperatures climb. Also looking like a freeze as we roll into next week. This is Monday morning, so Sunday night and Monday morning as the rain is exiting. Temperatures get to around freezing as you're getting up Monday morning. 33 in Memphis. Monday night and Tuesday morning, that's going to be the coldest. And as you wake up Tuesday morning, we're going to be in the 20s. 25 in Memphis, 22 in Dyersburg, 24 in Oxford, 25 in Clarksdale. So everybody falls to the 20s Monday night and Tuesday morning. Now, I know that might sound a little unusual because it has been so unusually warm lately. We've actually seen temperatures well above average for the last couple of weeks, but this is not that unheard of. In fact, when you look at our frost and freeze stats, our average last freeze, 32 or lower in Memphis, is March 18th. So not completely unheard of. In fact, this is about the time that we would see our last freeze of the season. And then our last frost, usually not until March 30th. So that's why a wise man once said, don't plant anything until Easter typically, because we can still see freezes and frost throughout the month of March. If you have planted, just keep that in mind. Not only a threat of high wind gusts that could tear up your plants, but also the potential and likelihood of a freeze early next week that could also cause some issues. So again, checking out the 7-day forecast. Saturday looks great. Sunshine, 74. We got a lot of stuff going on Saturday. We get to Sunday. Warm, breezy, 78's the high. Wind gusts could be as high as 40 miles an hour before the storms even get here. But I do think otherwise the weather's pretty calm and quiet through the day Sunday. Storms come in Sunday evening by 7 p.m. in eastern Arkansas, 8 or 9 p.m. into the Memphis metro, and then 9 or 10 p.m. into North Mississippi and West Tennessee. Damaging wind gusts, the biggest concern, 60 to 70 miles an hour, but there is at least a low tornado potential that we'll have to keep an eye on. Much colder next week. 41 Monday with sunshine, 46 on Tuesday. Even with the sunshine, it's going to be very cold. Lows in the 20s Tuesday morning with a freeze likely. Temperatures do climb through the week. Back to the 60s Wednesday, 70s, nearly 80 by Thursday and Friday. Temperatures continue to climb, so it's going to be a pretty short-lived cold snap, but it is going to be very cold behind this cold front next week. Good news is, look at the forecast, sunny and dry Monday to Friday, so that's something we can look forward to.